Come on with it, Robert. Turn that microphone on, Robert. All right. Yeah, brother. I try to work with you, but what's up, Robert?
Oh, hi, not much. I'm a white South African, so that will make a bit of a difference on the lineup so far. I just wanted to point out one thing. So I don't know you for much of your work back in the United States, but recently a friend showed me an old thingy of you coming to Cape Town. Unless I'm confusing you with someone else. I just wanted to clear something up for you because you did arrive with some assumptions about our history that weren't quite accurate. So,
like what?
Well, I mean, look, there's an assumption most of you Black Americans make about Africa that's quite inaccurate. And the big one, particularly that pertains to my country, is that the southern part of the continent was originally inhabited by a different race of people who, now in the modern age, we generally refer to them as by Khoisan. And so then the indigenous inhabitants were displaced by Black people who colonized southwards. And when my ancestors arrived, Black people had only made it up to the Fish River, which is in the Eastern Cape. And we only encountered them 100 years after we arrived. Our first contact was with the Khoisan peoples. And so they... Hang on a second. I promise I won't be long. So what's happened since the end of apartheid is that the government has, the Black majority government has started a process of displacement of the coloured minority in the Western Cape, which is where they're still a majority. Yet they're only apportioned 9% of the jobs by a very aggressive racial discrimination law set. And the government also funds people to displace them geographically.
Okay, you're going to have to slow it down. The racial discrimination against who? Who's the racial discrimination against? Turn your microphone on.
Sorry about that. My microphone's a bit fucked. So, no, the racial discrimination is against any racial minority in the country, white, colored, or Indian. Now, colored is an unfortunate grouping that includes people of mixed race with the indigenous peoples. But now, pretty much every aspect of their life they're discriminated against by the Black majority government. And when you showed up in Cape Town, you painted a certain picture that the Black people who were coming to settle in the Cape, usually organized by the ruling party through their shadow ward councillors in areas that they're not represented, they come to dilute the voting areas where they're not being voted for by colored people or white people. And they bust them in and they demarcate pieces of land which they invade and then set up shacks on. And then, of course, the ruling illegal.
Okay.
And, so
I don't.
And what it is what you did that I found a bit sort of objectionable, and I understand it's just out of ignorance, not out of spite, but what you did is you came in and said, well, you know, these are the indigenous people, the Black people,
right?
And without distinguishing between those who are settling here and those who are indigenous here. And here's the interesting bit. White people have been in the Cape longer than Black people have.
If you don't stop with that lie. No, you haven't. This whole lie that they came there and that part of South Africa was uninhabited. You have the Khoisan, you have the Bantu people. They've been there for thousands of years, and that's a white supremacist lie that y'all been trying to push out.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
What are you saying, sir?
I'm distinguishing between what are now referred to as Black people and the indigenous inhabitants, who I'm referring to as either colored or Khoisan, depending on which they prefer.
Okay, you're trying to play semantic word games. The Khoisan...
No, I'm not. I'm being very, very clear. You ask them yourself.
Hold on. Are you trying to say the Khoisan people are not Black people? Is that what you're trying? Okay.
Yes.
So now,
you don't look. Our politics.
Now you're getting into "I'm white and I say so" talk. Okay. That's "I'm white and I say so."
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
The Khoisan
You are
people,
wait, yeah, hang on, Tariq. You're not
black,
down here. You're
sir.
taking the B coast. You're taking the B coast perspective on race as red, and not asking people who. You're not asking people on the ground. There are some colored
You
people who
are a
identify
colon,
politically as black. It's true, but
you
that's
are
not everyone.
you are colonizers, sir. You're not indigenous to South Africa. You're a colonizer.
So, what's your
So
point?
the point is, don't lie about history. Just say what it
No, I'm not.
is. You're a
No, I'm
colonizer.
not.
You're not indigenous
So,
to the place. You came
I
with
didn't
Prince.
say that, did
Well,
I?
you said that
No,
white people
I
have been.
said white people in the.
Slow down, Tyler. You're trying to rewrite history, and you said what I was talking about, and
No,
I went there
you're
was
not listening to what I'm saying, Tariq.
but you're not going to
You got to
lie.
listen carefully. You got to
I'm
listen.
listen carefully to you lying. You're not going to lie. Sitting here saying the Khoisan people are not black people, and you can Google them and see that they're black. I'm looking at the people when I went there, and they're black people. So let's stop that.
Well, no, because you can't distinguish between them and people from Central Africa, because
They're all.
you're an American who's of mixed race ancestry.
I'm a
So
black. I am a foundational black American, sir. What are you talking about?
exactly, foundational Black Americans are mixed race.
Uh, well, everybody on the planet is a mixed race person if we're going to go by that logic, right?
Well, not really. I mean, I'm talking about fairly recently. I mean, about 25% of your ancestry at
Okay.
minimum will be from a white background. And
Not
you know this.
not in the what recently? No, recently there's no white people in my family. Recently, in the last couple of
Recently is 500 years.
okay, so 500 years, everybody's mixed. Okay, but we're talking
Right. I mean, me personally, even I
you're
have.
mixed. You have Negro in you. If we're going 500 years, okay, but
Yep.
you're not indigenous to the people there. Okay.
No, I know I have some indigenous blood in me. I actually know my whole family tree very clearly. So you're not teaching me anything here.
All right.
But
But
I'm telling you something very precise.
no,
If
no, you're not. You're
you're
doing
supporting.
you're doing I'm white and I say so. Now, when I went to South Africa, I was very accurate. The black people there weren't running anything. You white supremacists were running everything there.
So hang on a second. So a government which it where so you have no idea what you're talking about, do you?
Then
You
school
really
me.
don't.
Yes, I do know what I'm
Look,
talking.
that so how what
So, Liam, listen. What areas are over there that's prosperous that black people are running? Name the areas
in Cape Town?
where I
No, that
was.
wait in Cape Town. You only visited Cape Town. Like we
The,
have a country of 60 million people. You looked at
okay,
a settlement of 3 million and you say that represents the whole country. Do you have any idea how diverse we are as a nation?
okay. Well, in Cape Town, which is a major city, name the black
It's
area.
a country
Hold on.
until 30 years.
You're babbling as a family. Listen how these white supremacists try to babble their way out of something. He's trying to babble as a deflection. I want y'all to learn how they try to use these deflection tactics. You
I
can't
can
name.
name wealthy areas elsewhere in the country
Well, how come you can't
if you'd
name it in
like.
South Africa? How come you can't name a wealthy black area in South in Cape Town?
Because there aren't any. There are
Thank
mixed race wealthy areas.
you. That's what
They're
I
mixed
said
race
when I went there. So why are you saying what I'm saying is inaccurate? That's what I said
because
when I
you're
went.
because you're saying it's representative of the country and it isn't.
Yes, it is, sir. Yes, it
Oh,
is.
really?
Ooh, that's what
They're
I
mixed
said
race
when I went there. So why are you saying what I'm saying is inaccurate? That's what I said
because
when I
you're
went
because you're saying it's representative of the country and it isn't.
there. Yes, it is, sir. Yes, it
Oh,
is.
really?
You white
So
supremacists are the
all those mansions in Soweto are owned by people connected to the ruling party. All of those enormous property developments up in
Many of those
Limpopo,
them are,
you don't
many,
you don't know anything about them.
many of them are East Indians over there in some of those places.
You think
Okay,
I can't tell? You think I can't tell the difference between the Indian minority and?
so I was accurate in my video when I went over there because I looked all around Cape Town. I was looking for the prosperous black areas, and there were none, but there were
If
prosperous
you go
white
look,
people all over,
if you
and that proved my point, sir.
If you go down to Sea Point and you go down to all of those big mansions on the mountain, a very large and significant number of them are held by wealthy black individuals. They don't have their own communities. That's where they put their holiday houses and their property
Okay,
investment.
I'm not talking about a handful of wealthy black people. You can find that anywhere. You can find one or two mansions of wealthy black people. I'm talking about communities of groups of black people that are doing financially well. Where
Well,
are they?
they're not. Well, they are in Johannesburg. They're in Pretoria. They're in Toyando. They're in
The area.
what's it?
Name the area.
Polokwane. They're in Durban. They're in literally anywhere else in the country.
You're
You'll be
just
able to
naming
find wealthy
areas.
black
You're just
communities
naming cities. Name the area
in
specifically.
each city.
Name the area in the cities, because you can name the townships where the broke people are. Mashpumalele. You can name the townships where the broke
Oh,
black
come
folks
on.
are, but where the
Well, look,
prosperous peoples.
Polokwane. If you go to Polokwane, for example, all the white people don't rise above middle class. All of the wealthy property developments are by black
This
people.
is
The
Mayo's.
problem.
This is just Mayo splaining, sir, and I don't want to hear it. To be honest, I don't want to
Wait,
hear
wait, hang on. So when it doesn't fit your, so it doesn't when it
it.
doesn't fit your
You're not.
perspective,
You're
then it's bullshit.
You're not answering the question. That's called Mayo splaining. You're just deflecting by babbling, sir. So my video proved my point, and you just proved the point of my video. When I went there and I said that there were no prosperous black areas, and you just said, yeah, but they're in other places. So you confirmed what I said in my video after you said I was inaccurate. I was very accurate, sir. And you're just a colonizer. You're a colonizer, and I don't know why the people don't get y'all up out of there. That's the thing that killed me. I have a lot of concern. You guys are the minority. You white
So
supremacists are
you
the
think
minority.
we should be killed?
You should be run up out of there. I don't know about being
Okay.
killed. They shouldn't let
So
you.
so you support genocide in South Africa?
I didn't say. Well, okay, whoa, you're projecting, sir.
Oh, no, 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 no. So you say we should be run out like the Jews in Germany?
What the hell are you talking about? You're just
Well, I
projecting.
mean that was it. That was
You
precisely what the program. There was not one mention
you're
in if you.
you are occupying people and you're subjugating people. You're not a victim over there. You're the victimizers. You're a bunch of white supremacists subjugating and dominating and raping and pillaging the original inhabitants of that area, and they should produce justice because they are the minority. I mean, they're the majority there. They are the majority there. They should produce justice and get the criminal class out of there by any means necessary. That's what I'm saying, sir.
And you're saying
You,
our whole race is a criminal class?
I didn't say that. I said the white supremacists, not the whole race. There's cool white people,
Okay.
supremacists.
So,
You white supremacists are a
but
criminal.
you said that we all need to be cleared out,
No, I
and you
did.
included me in it.
No, the
So I don't know why.
white supremacists, because they got the white supremacists out of Zimbabwe. They're still white people
No,
who.
they, dude. Do you know you don't know shit about Zimbabwe? You don't
Yes,
know shit about Zimbabwe.
I do.
They cleared
Yes.
they cleared everyone out, regardless of whether they had done anything right or wrong, and then
Then
they
why?
invited them back because they couldn't.
Then why are there so many white people living there now? I've been to Zimbabwe. There's plenty of white people living there, and
Oh
please
yeah,
don't if you're
I
going
know
to
them.
don't tell the lie about they needed them to farm. Are you going to tell that lie?
No, 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 no. I know exactly. No, that's not what I'm going to say at all.
Where are you going to
I'm
say?
saying they invited them back under that pretense and then took their shit again, twice.
No, they didn't.
Oh yeah, you want to look this up? Go ahead.
I
I
looked it
know.
up.
Look,
I've been there.
I know
You
white
know
Zimbabweans
something? I've been
personally.
to Zimbabwe. I know what I'm talking about. So you're not talking about somebody who has not been there. They didn't need white people to help them farm. Are you insane?
Then why do they have food shortages?
They don't have food shortages, sir. What are you
Did
talking about?
past tense.
They don't have it, and when they did have it,
Well,
that's white
half
supremacists.
their country has emigrated.
That
Okay,
that's That's because the white supremacists would try to do scorched earth campaigns and try to mess up the soil and mess up the farmlands, which is what they always do. And then they got it together. They're good over there. And I've been on some of those.
Absolute slander. None of that is true at all. There's no
Oh,
evidence of that ever occurring.
they do that all over Africa. They do scorched earth. They try to mess up the
Never
food.
happened.
That happens all the time.
Never happened. No, it never
It,
happened. It's never happened. Not once.
yes, it has. It
Not
happens
once.
all. That's why people starve over there for the most part because of the
No, dude. You don't understand the mentality down here at all, man.
understand white supremacy. You're always sabotaging food supplies, water supplies over there. Even in South Africa, there's cholera all in the waters over there in the townships. That's because your community puts it there. They poison the water, they pollute the water all over the place, sir. I know what I'm
You're
talking.
talking absolute shit. There's no evidence for this whatsoever. It's never happened. You know why everything's shit in this country? Because
Why?
every single qualified engineer in the 90s was told to fuck off. They even volunteered to stay without pay and they were told to sod off. And everything that they recommended the government do in order to fix the water reticulation systems, the engineering systems, the power systems, none of that was done. Some of it is starting to be done now, but we can't even afford those projects anymore because the entire government is bankrupt. Okay? Everything has been screwed up during Black Rule. Okay?
Oh,
You can't blame us for that. You can't.
stop,
We've had 30 years. 30
stop.
years. You could have raised a whole generation. A
Oh
whole
my.
generation could have come up.
So you're saying that it should be back to apartheid. Is that what you're saying?
Not at all. Not at all. Did I say that? No, I didn't.
Yes, that
I
is what
said the black
you
rulers that they happen to have screwed up every opportunity that they were given.
no,
Now,
they
the
didn't.
average black people know this.
No, they
They
didn't.
do know this. No, the
Because
average
you
black person in South Africa knows that the ANC is a
stop it. You white supremacists still control the economy over there. You still control the economy and you still extrapolate the resources from the black masses there. So they don't get the proper resources and finances they need to do what needs to be done to run the society properly because you white supremacists still control the resources, sir. Don't sit here and lie.
not true. The ownership of the economy slipped to 50-50 10 years ago.
No, it didn't.
Okay?
No, it
And
didn't.
yeah, it does. Look at the J.
No, it didn't. This is just white supremacist babble. This is just I'm white and I say so. You white supremacists still control the economy. You control all the businesses over there. When I went over there to South Africa, all of the businesses were run by white people and some East Indians. Yeah, you control the economy sector there right now to this day, and you know it. Now you're sitting here babbling and lying, which is what a lot of
You
white.
literally went to the whitest part of the whole country.
Oh,
You went to
Lord.
the whitest part of the entire country and used that as a sample for what's going on in for 50 million, 60 million people.
But the white
Dude,
people are
the
still
figures are
no,
public, dude. The
wait,
figures are public.
white people are the minority in Cape Town still. What are you talking about? You saying it's the whitest place. They're still the vast minority
Yeah,
in Cape Town. So what are you talking about?
yes. I'm not contradicting anything you're saying. I'm still saying it's the whitest part of the country.
Okay, but what's
So
that if you got 10 whites or 20
that's
whites?
like,
What are you talking about?
well, I don't know. I mean, I don't expect you to. I mean, are you going to do this with Jewish people in the United States? You're going to say, well, Jews own everything, therefore, blah, blah, fish
What
paste?
the
No,
you talking
nonsense.
about? Now you're just
No,
babbling. You're just
no,
babbling.
man. I can't. The fact that we're highly concentrated in one area doesn't mean shit.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Now, here's the thing. For the rest of the country, if you want statistics, if you want to know how much, who owns what, you're going to have to look at studies from the last census in 2011. You're going to have
People
to
on
look at the reports from the Johannesburg Stock Exchange for the last 10 years. You're going to have to look at breakdowns of earnings and house ownership for the last 10 years. Now, we have been sliding in wealth for a very long time. Part of it's driven by immigration. Part of it's been driven by land repossessions and seizures. Some of it's been driven by normal exchange of products in a free market. But
uh,
we do not, with the statistics that you're thinking of, or I imagine that you're thinking of, you're going to have to correct me, from like 1991, 30 years ago, when we still had a white minority government, they're not accurate, dude. They're not accurate at all. You really need to catch up with what's happening here. It's not.
I,
It's not what you're saying.
yeah,
Look,
I'm very clear on what's
look,
happening
dude.
there. By the way,
No,
in
dude.
Cape Town, Cape Town has 16% white people. They are the
Yep.
vast majority there and control all the businesses basically and all the resources. So they're colonized. The black people are colonized. That's what colonization is. And it's wrong. And they shouldn't allow
Well,
themselves to be
you do know how the Cape Peninsula was colonized, right?
Oh Lord.
Do you know how it was colonized?
How let me hear this. Here
No,
we
no,
go.
no, no, no. Well, first I want to hear your version because that'll give me an impression of what I'm up against. But go on, tell me.
Okay.
I expect
We
you figure we rode in. The first thing we did is massacre everyone, right?
I know about the Zulu Wars. Sir, I
No,
already
you don't. The Zulu. Do you know how far away Zululand is from the Cape?
sir,
It's
it's
further than Italy is from Portugal.
okay. That's not saying anything. That's not saying
No,
it.
it's an entirely different. It's an entirely different scenario. So now South Africa didn't exist until 100 years ago. Okay, so what you're
Sir,
talking about is things that are happening in different
the,
countries.
the name of the area existed, sir. Just the
What do you
name.
mean the area existed? What does
You
that
said
even mean?
Africa didn't
Like,
exist. The name. What are you talking?
what
There were
are you
people.
talking about? There's
People
always all areas always existed, Tariq.
exactly.
What do you mean?
But you brought up
What does
that
that
South
even mean?
didn't exist. You're just talking about the name of the country. Yeah, it didn't exist. There were no white supremacists over there a couple of 100 years ago. So what are you saying? We know that. That's elementary. So what are you talking about?
No, I'm saying that the Kham people are not the same as the Zulu, and in fact, they had no contact.
They're all black people. They're all black people, and they were all indigenous to that land. And you white
Oh,
supremacists,
okay. Well, you don't know about the practice of Botlanka, do you?
sir, you're just throwing out crap and seeing what sticks to the wall. You come from a Dutch background,
No,
sir.
you do No, I don't actually. Well, partially,
Yes,
but not entirely.
there you go. You're Dutch. You come from a Dutch background, sir, and you were colonized, and that's
Yeah,
I
well,
say,
so are the black people who descended on South Africa to enslave and exterminate and rape the native Khoisan people.
stop it. These are black people, and yeah, they're tribal wars, and that was another thing.
Tribal wars. No,
Tribal
no, no.
war.
It was slavery. It was chattel
No,
slavery.
no, it wasn't. Then stop it. The tribal wars allowed you white supremacists to come in and then dominate both groups. This is what we should learn. The tribal wars, and this is how the white supremacists get in there. They come in and exploit beefs. I want y'all to listen. This is a lesson here. Listen how these white supremacists get down. Whenever black folks are fighting, there's infighting and tribalism and all that. These white supremacists come in and exploit it. Just like this guy here. All right. I want my people to listen and learn. These are learning lessons here.
Yeah. Well, you know what happens when that so-called black unity is used as a weapon? Well, it
How,
means that any black tribe, any black group, any black nation who doesn't feel like they're being equitably treated by the majority, they're made to shut up or called enemies. Now, this is the thing: is you can talk about unity all you like, but I mean, I know how your people American black people behaved in Africa when you got there. You behaved just the same as any white colonizer. Look at
when
Liberia's history.
Oh, don't go there. Wait, what we did in Liberia, number one, it was a lot of Caribbeans who went over there. Number two, there were other Africans who were brought over there from different African countries. So there was always culture classes, but foundational Black Americans didn't do anything detrimental. We stopped the slave trade coming from that area. That's one thing we cleaned that
What you
up.
did, what you did to the native people of Liberia is so extraordinarily cruel, and the domination was so complete that it
No,
exists
it's
today.
and no, it wasn't. No, and the Liberia that was a white orchestrated endeavor. It was the American colon.
Ah, yes, I see. All evil
It,
comes from.
yes, it was the American Colonization Society putting all of that together. So their little dirty hands were in the mix too. So yeah, whenever we have the white
I
supremacists in
love this.
things don't really go well. We just got to get you guys out of our mix when we do things, right?
Well, that would be nice. But look, I mean, look, your perspective is like it's a very sort of fragile ego, dude. Like I'm leveling with you here. Like
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been speaking in bad faith at all. You can say what I believe is wrong, but it's what I believe. These are the things that I understand to be true.
Uh-huh.
But now, look, I don't have a problem admitting that my ancestors did bad things. I mean, look, I happen to have a very thorough understanding precisely which ancestors did what bad things. And that list isn't a short one either. So, but here's the
You
thing.
you
It's
don't
the
you don't
difference between you and me is the difference between you and me is that when
uh,
you approach any single geographical area, any historical period, the only thing that you can possibly see is the person's skin color lighter than X or darker than X? If so, they are either good or evil. And there's nothing outside of that dichotomy for you. You're incapable of seeing your own people as fully human.
you're coming
You
from a guy who's an Afrikaner who had ancestry practicing apartheid, some of the most oppressive.
okay?
You come from an apartheid lineage, sir. Some of the vile things you did to the black people there in South Africa, and you want to point the finger? Are you serious?
What are you talking about pointing the finger? Hang on, I'm talking about you as an individual, Tariq.
What about me as an individual, sir?
No, I'm leveling with you, man. Like seriously,
You, you, you're projecting. I don't know what you're talking about. All the stuff you're saying is just projections. You're just projecting a lot of your degenerate behavior onto me, sir, because you don't want to look into your history and you know that you and your culture of apartheid, you know that's a degenerate, savage behavior, and you have to try to pawn that off on somebody else. No, no, no. Own that. Own who you are, sir. Just own it.
What do you mean own who I am? I know who I am. I know what
Right.
my ancestors have done.
Exactly. So don't try to you're not at liberty to point the finger at anybody
No,
else.
no, no, no. What you mean me as an individual
You because you
because of my ancestors, I have no ability to make moral judgments of any kind.
sir, you're just
No, no, no. What you do no, think about that. What you just
oh,
said.
sir, you're not going to mayonnaise babble. Now, sir, you're over there in South Africa, you're the minority, and your birth rates are very low. What are you going to do about that, sir? Because you got bigger fish to fry with those low birth rates. What you going to do about that, sir? Because
I don't
2050,
know. Cross that bridge when I come to it.
all
Listen,
right,
man, like
that's what you
I'm
need to
look,
focus on.
listen, Tariq, I moved back to South Africa knowing things were going bad for my people. Okay,
Uh-huh,
I didn't do that. Okay, I know that things are not looking good here.
uh-huh.
I know the future's not looking excellent, but I think that, most of my people down here are not wealthy enough to afford to leave. Okay, they can't go anywhere.
Boo-hoo.
No, I'm not asking for your sympathy. I'm explaining where I'm at.
You think I
Okay.
give a damn about how bad colonizers are doing? That's called karma, dude. That's called karma for some of those colonizers. I have no sympathy for them. And plus,
No, that's because you're very
you still have colonizers there that are doing very well up there in Cape Town. I don't want to hear no woes me. They were living high off the hog up there in Cape Town, so you get no sympathy from me.
well. I mean, Black Americans do better than all white South Africans. I mean, you guys haven't. You look at your average income for every year. You guys are doing better than several European countries. You guys are doing pretty. You're doing pretty well, but you whine about things on a level that's absolutely extraordinary. I mean,
Like
it's
what do I whine about? That I shouldn't be whining about.
poverty. I mean, America's levels of poverty, when I look at that shit, I just cringe. I mean, even white Americans, the level of poverty that you guys complain.
Stop it. When the hell have I whined about poverty? I don't whine about poverty. Now I fight to help homeless people. I don't whine. Listen, sir. You are a fleer. You fled from Holland. You and your family, they fled from Amsterdam because they couldn't cut it. I'm not a fleer. I'm a foundational Black
Actually,
American.
that's not true.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
not really true.
It is. You put on them little wooden shoes and you start hitting the road. But I'm a foundational Black American. My family built this country. We didn't flee. And we don't whine to
Well,
anybody. Have anybody to whine to. The white supremacists don't give a damn about us. Now, politically, we request things politically, but we build things and we take care of ourselves and we fight for the resources that we need. So I don't know where this whining thing, that's
no,
what,
that sounds like a universal condition, doesn't it?
I don't know what you're talking about because it's not universal because we don't flee and you do. So we're not the same. So
What
we're
do you
here.
mean? Where did I flee from?
You fled to South Africa from Holland. Your family fled from Amsterdam and went down to South Africa.
My family have been here for 350 years. I don't understand why you think that constitutes the character of my personal family.
I don't believe they've been there for that long, but yeah, your family fled.
Yes, I have. No, yes, we have.
They couldn't cut it in Holland. They couldn't cut the mustard, sir. They couldn't cut it.
No, you get employed by the Dutch East India Company and you get sent somewhere to do very difficult work.
So you're
Others
saying
of my ancestors were members of the Royal Welsh Artillery in India. Other members of my family were farmers from America. You know, they come from all over the place.
so your family was part of the transatlantic slave trade. Is that what you're saying?
Nope.
If they were working for the dusty
No. If look, where my family touches the slave trade is the Huguenot branch, which purchased slaves. I think it was
in
200
France, right? In France, right?
ago, and those were Javanese. So that's the slave trade.
Okay, the Huguenots, when many of them came out here to the U.S., you know that, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And the Huguenots, many of them were black.
What?
Yeah, look that up.
Oh my goodness. Okay, it's one
Yes,
of these things. Yeah, I know you're into this shit.
sir. I want you to
Yeah,
look that.
look, but this is the thing that I brought up earlier, and like this is
Sir.
just to reiterate so that you know what I'm like doing.
Okay, no, don't dismiss what I said. I want you to look some of this stuff up. There were cases where they were fighting to prove their nationality because many people were labeling them as Negro when they came over here. So I'm just giving you history. But
Okay, that's fine, but that's fine. I'm sure it's very interesting, and I'll look it up, and I don't discount the possibility.
got it.
It's just for me, it's not really like that kind of stuff is not really important.
I know.
I mean, like you like your understanding of white supremacy is very sort of, I don't know. Like
It's
over here, we're much more pragmatic. We're much more directed at survival than the sort of opportunism that you see elsewhere. The lager mentality you get over here is much more, how should I put it, acute.
yeah, it's much different because the stuff over there, if it were us, foundational Black Americans, and we were the majority, and we had a couple of little filthy white supremacists smacking us around, yeah, that would stop. That would stop real quickly.
I doubt it would because
Oh,
I
I
mean
promise.
I mean look at your political organization in America. I mean I watch I mean I have to admit this is from an outsider's perspective.
Uh-huh.
So I'm fully expecting you to correct me on this,
I
but
will.
watching Black Lives Matter mushroom up, get celebrated by the whole community, and then disappear overnight as all the money gets liquidated and funneled into various
Black
different
Lives
holes.
Matter
That
is a
was that
joke.
was cringe.
Black Lives Matter is a joke to Black people in America. Don't even go there. I don't care what you saw in the media. Among the Black masses, the organization Black Lives Matter is a joke. Nobody
Okay, but then
is serious. That's a media creation. All right, that has zero to do
oh yeah,
with
no, I'm well aware of that. But they still
grass.
managed to mobilize plenty of black people behind
No,
it.
they didn't. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. No, they
Really,
no,
none.
they didn't mobilize anything. It was Black folks on the.
Okay, so
It
no
was
black people showed up to any of those protests.
Are you going to ask me a question? Or are you going to tell me our history and our social conditions here?
I'm asking you rhetorical questions because I'm honestly surprised that you're saying something that drastic. I mean, surely you can admit that at least a
You
portion
just
of your community supported
uh,
that. I mean,
ask
I
me,
find it easy to admit.
okay, don't ask me bad faith questions and start babbling. You asked about Black Lives Matter and then turned around and said, "Oh, you're saying black people didn't show up." So let's not be in bad faith here. All right. Are you one of the, because that's a white supremacist trick, trying to use Black Lives Matter as a colloquialism for black people? No, we're not talking about black people. Black Lives Matter and black people, two different things. And you know that. This is what I'm saying, the deception of white supremacy. Don't tell me about the group
No,
thing.
but that's not what I'm claiming either. Look, I'm
Okay.
saying that that was
Now,
an organization that at least nominally,
okay.
I mean, you can say,
Okay. Now, with that, you're getting into bad faith arguments because you're running out of material. And now it's starting to seep into trolling. And when you do that, that means you're throwing in the towel. So, yeah, don't do that. All right.
yeah, no, I'm going to try and circle back. I'm just saying, look, they
Don't get,
nominally even if
uh,
you can say falsely, sure, false, whatever.
no, they
It's a mirage, but
matters a joke.
nominally, here was a vehicle. Nominally, here was a vehicle to represent your interests in, right?
No, it wasn't. And Black Lives Matter organization is white run, and it was always a joke. They didn't organize or mobilize anything. Black people on the grassroots were mobilizing, and they would slap the Black Lives Matter brand on any of the mobilization. They didn't have anything to do with it. Black,
Alrighty then. I'm just going to move on from there and assume you're right about all of that. Because
yes,
I mean, I honestly I don't have the time to
all
research
right.
this shit in detail.
Yes,
But
indeed. Thank you much. Thank you so much. All right. I'm not trying to hear bad faith arguments. There we go. When you get into bad faith arguments, then you're tapping out. You bringing up Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is a damn joke. It's always been a joke.